Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for
Wait a minute.
joining us for this virtual series. We are so excited. St. Louis Metropolitan Alumnae Chapter has been doing the Black-owned businesses virtual series for the last 2 weeks, and this is part 3. I am excited to welcome our second vice president, Soror Erica Moore, to bring greetings from our chapter.
Good evening, everyone. As Soror Norfolk said, I am Erica Moore. I am the second vice president of St. Louis Metropolitan Alumnae Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And on behalf of our president, Janice Baker, I welcome you to tonight's Black-owned businesses seminar and supporting and sustaining our community during these unprecedented times. I want to let you a little bit know about the St. Louis Metropolitan Alumnae Chapter. We were established in January 11th, 1998. And principled upon educational excellence, public service, and leadership development. The chapter provides an extensive array of public services aimed at our 5-point programmatic thrust, as well as commissions outlined by our national headquarters. Tonight's program is associated with one of those programmatic thrusts, our economic development program. And I want to thank Soror Monique Norfolk for putting together an outstanding series to help empower all of our community, especially our Black-owned businesses, and arm them with knowledge and information to help them be successful. I want to thank our presenters today for all the information they're going to share with everyone. Please take notes. If you have questions, please ask your questions. We know it's going to be an excellent program, and I just want to thank you all again for being with us. Ms. Anthony and Ms. Herndon, so glad to have you. Everyone at home, sit back, enjoy the conversation, and again, welcome and thank you.
Thank you so much, Soror Moore. I appreciate you. I'm excited. The last couple of weeks have been phenomenal, and I'm just so honored, Alyce and Latoya, that you have chosen to join us and share your expertise, your knowledge, opportunities, and everything with our entire community. Before we get started, I want to share just a little blurb about this series. It's called Supporting and Sustaining Our Community During These Unprecedented Times. And the focus of this series is to bring Black business owners in our community to a platform where they can offer guidance and support to other Black-owned businesses, extend opportunities for collaboration, and bring vital resources and information to our community at large. So the goal is really for us to make an impact at all levels, whether it's systematic or it's on the individual level, because we know our community needs all the support that we can get in general, but also, especially during the time of this pandemic. And so I am honored that you all are sharing your time with us. So what I'd like to do is start with introducing Latoya Anthony, and I have her bio here. She's totally just amazing. And so what I'll do is I'll introduce her. We're going to go through some questions, and she's going to share information with us. And then I will introduce Alyce Herndon, and she will then share information with us as well. And so, Latoya, first of all, I want to just thank you for being here. She's a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha, so another member of our Divine Nine. We are so honored to partner with you. And I'm going to read your bio, and then we'll get into it, if that's okay. So Mrs. Latoya Anthony is the founder and director of Human Resources and Recruitment of Anthony Staffing Partners. This is a recruitment agency that supports business growth and candidate opportunities across the entire United States. This company has adopted a business model of connecting well-qualified candidates with extraordinary businesses and leading the human aspect and operational functions through recruitment, federal and state labor law compliance, employer rights and responsibility, as well as confidentiality. Anthony Staffing Partners understand the need for client companies to focus on business operations and not sourcing endlessly for the right staff. And for client candidates, Anthony Staffing Partners embodies the importance of work-life balance, career satisfaction, and stability. Latoya is a native of Houston, Texas, And she relocated to Northern California, where she received her bachelor's degree in arts in digital design from California State University, East Bay. She began her career in the affordable housing industry as a property supervisor and human resources administrator for several developments in the Bay Area. Latoya holds various certifications under the Housing and Urban Development Act and has found great joy serving families in need of affordable resources and social services. After spending more than a decade in the housing industry, Latoya relocated to Missouri, where she received her master's degree in human resources management from Webster University. And she now resides in North County with her husband and her 2 children and attends Shalom Church City of Peace. She has a really dynamic background in that she's had the opportunity and pleasure to perform with football's fabulous females as an Oakland Raiderette, NFL cheerleader in Oakland, California, and she serves as a lifelong member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I do want to share the industries of interest as we're going to kind of jump into some other components of what her company focuses on, but she does focus on industries such as healthcare, information technology, logistics, multi-level management, and general labor. And so with that, I just want to say welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And first, I would just like to thank the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, St. Louis Metropolitan Alumnae Chapter for hosting this informative web series. It's essential to have these conversations and hopes to encourage and actually remove the fear of how to sustain when faced with hardships of any sort, and even during a pandemic. So some would, argue the economy is recovering during this pandemic, yet others who are impacted heavily within our inner city communities would highly disagree. It is proven that you can sustain, and by becoming creative and building wealth systems to increase or even add residual income during any economic hardship, it is possible, so yeah, that's where and just to kind of go just a little bit of how I started Anthony Staffings and Anthony Staffing Partners, and this is true story. The year was 2013, and my husband and I, we relocated from California to Missouri with his company. And my oldest of 2 daughters at the time was 6 months. And, at the time we just decided, okay, well, we can afford to just, get settled in and maintain the kids, and just to take some time off to just focus on our kids. And although we were, blessed to and able to afford the transition from 2 incomes to 1, I knew that with my background in HR and recruitment and management and that experience, I could not depend on, the role and that permanent lifestyle. Especially if I wanted to return back to a traditional working environment. So it's building and maintaining transferable working skills. So while at home, with my daughter, one daughter at the time just started an e-commerce business within a trade that in the beauty industry that, just something to do and just to keep those transferable skills going, which was flexible enough for me to still manage my home. My husband would call me the CEO or director of domestic relations.
I love it.
Yeah. So coming from a corporate world, and that was just a heavy transition. So in that, I just wanted to continue my education, where, I received my master's just to maintain the transferable skills and the knowledge and to make myself and to continue to be attractive in the workforce. And then I began consulting like individuals on how to remain attractive, so that if you're coming from a transition in your career, if you are a caregiver or a homemaker, you just never know what life is going to bring your way. So you just want to make sure that you're being creative and maintaining your skill sets so that whenever you do get to the point where you can go back into the traditional working environment, you're ready and prepared. And so that's where Anthony Staffing Partners was born, because I just saw the need, and I'm coming from that background. And there are a lot of people who just either want to transition their careers. They're especially during a pandemic, you have essential workers, that are losing their jobs, or just a transition. So you just never know. You never know what happens. And I just wanted to be of service and to help, coming from that experience, a little different, but it's still transition, and then you want to always just maintain to be attractive.
No, I love that so much. And I mean, that's so important. And that's why like everyone has been really intentionally selected when it comes to this series, because it's about having a heart for our community.
Mm-hmm.
And, I see that in just what you've shared. I know that about Alyce, and we'll hear more about what she brings from that perspective, but there's a reason. It's about having the appropriate skill set and the training, but being able to really make sure that we are considering all of the diverse needs of our community. And so,
exactly.
Yes, as you were sharing, I was thinking about the fact that, with this pandemic specifically, there are people who have been in positions of power and management, or are essential workers, as you mentioned, that never imagined losing their jobs. And now, like, what do I do? And so when you said transferable skills, I got really excited, because I just love that term. And I think we don't hear it often enough, that it doesn't mean you have to be in this field already. It's what do you bring to the table from the field you're in,
Mm-hmm.
that we can utilize in another field. So
exactly.
That's super exciting.
Yes.
And I thank you for sharing a little bit about how your company was started. I love that journey. And I think as women too, just really being able to feel empowered that
Mm-hmm.
we can, have these other responsibilities as caregivers and still pour into ourselves and give back to our community. So
exactly.
Thank you for that. I know that there might be a lot of community members who, and even some business owners,
Mm-hmm.
who aren't familiar with the type of business that you have. And so what I'd like to ask is if you would explain a little more about like what Anthony Staffing Partners is, what you do, and how they can be engaged.
So Anthony Staffing Partners, we are, we're not considered a temporary agency. Okay, so the difference in that, we are a direct hiring recruitment agency. So what that means is we search and source out that perfect candidate. We go through a full cycle, recruitment process, and it's up to the discretion of the company whether they want us to, conduct their onboarding. But if not, we source, we qualify. Of course, they still have to go through the company as well to make sure that it is a good job fit. But, other than that, they're yours exclusively. Once you're hired, you're there, and then that way you can start building that business relationship for longevity and a potential life career. So we're direct, and I think it's beneficial to clients, in addition to candidates, but more so for clients, because it's costly to onboard, and you don't want to take too much time away from your daily operations as a company to source out and to try to find that perfect candidate. So we do the legwork. And we provide you with quality screened candidates to keep, as long as you like. So that's pretty much how we run our business. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that. I mean, I'm processing that as a business owner myself, and I'm like, I need these services, because yes, it takes a lot of work, and it just feels so like relieving when you're like, we take that on for you. You don't have to do anything. So that is amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that it's not focused on like just, you guys don't focus on temporary. You're like, no, we're trying to actually make sure that we have direct hires that are going to be able to be in these positions, permanently.
Yes.
Instead of just for a few months.
Yeah, because that's the purpose. You don't want to keep floating around, because again, that's looked upon your experience and your history as well. You want to be known as a candidate that has longevity within a business or a company, or even within your previous experience. So it's just not attractive, to see the turnaround, and
Absolutely.
so, yeah, so you just want to be able to, you want to feel secure that the candidate that we bring, is going to be there, and build that relationship. So that's what we promote and support.
No, I really appreciate that. And I love that, you mentioned, well, I guess as reading your bio, like you mentioned focusing on areas like healthcare and IT. And, those are some difficult areas or fields to kind of sometimes staff. So in this season where we're dealing with this pandemic, those can be a little more challenging. And so when we're thinking about the services that Anthony Staffing Partners provides to individuals and businesses, like what does that look like? How do they get hooked in? What do they need to bring to the table? And what can they expect from the process?
Well, first, with healthcare and even IT, I'll just speak briefly on those two niches. With healthcare, surprisingly, a lot has changed. Of course, the pandemic, and there are a lot of candidates that are just afraid, to work in those type of environments. And, so one particular company client that I have has to fill a whole facility, because there's a lot of turnover based off of employees and healthcare workers that just are afraid right now. So healthcare used to be, I don't want to say used to be, because it's still very, very much so essential. But as far as the fear in that, especially with what's happening right now, they just want to be secure in being able to go home, healthy. So that's been a little difficult. However, IT has been quite easy. We're in the way of the world of a technology world. So we're transitioning. I mean, hence we're in a virtual meeting right now.
Yeah.
So IT is very, very popular right now. So you have, as far as continuing your education, you have more candidates that are veering towards certification in that area, just to maintain or even change career goals, and very more towards IT. So IT is actually doing pretty well, so with my experience with direct placement, which is definitely different from temporary, assignments, or the temporary guidelines and things like that. What sets us apart, we just like to maintain that integrity. Of course, that we follow all compliance, federal, state compliance, and most HR professionals understand the integrity of that. You have to. It's a personnel confidentiality, and so when we're able to source in all areas of the state, it's not specific to a state or a location. We monitor our business, and we source our candidates pretty much the same way in all states. There are some certain compliance things that we look into within certain states, but for the most part, we monitor, we source, we conduct business just on that level that we are in compliance with, no matter the state or or location. So yeah.
No, that's really helpful. That was one of my questions. I was just wondering, because you do work with companies across the country, what was different? And so it seems like there might be some compliance components that you have to consider, but other than that, it's kind of just everything's pretty much similar across the board is what I'm hearing. And so, I'm thinking about this. I mean, we have two different sides of the coin that you serve. And that's the businesses that are seeking employees, as well as the individuals seeking employment.
Yes.
And so when we think about the benefit, I think you spoke already a little bit to the benefit for businesses, that it's taking that weight off of their shoulders and that legwork and that additional cost that comes with that. Are there any other benefits you would say for businesses that, to work with a company like yours? And then also when we're thinking about individuals who at this point in time, specifically, I'm going to focus specifically on the pandemic, but I'm sure outside of that, individuals that are seeking employment, like what would be the benefit of going through Anthony Staffing Partners versus just trying to figure out kind of opportunities on their own?
So some of those benefits really is to understand your value, understand your value. And that's something that we can bring out of you, knowing what your strong points are, what areas of the business that you will do great work in. You don't want to just accept a position just to accept it. We want you to love what you do, to have that work-life balance. So it's a conversation, it's an assessment, and these are things that can follow you, wherever you go. We hope that you would remain and build with a company that you are completely satisfied with. But in that, if not, and you have a change of heart or just, certain transitions in your life, you still have those skills, and you have a great resume that we can review and pull out those successes and assess those weaknesses or opportunities. So those are the things that we can provide, as well as making you look attractive, even on social media platforms that most companies are looking into. So, it's just certain creative ways to make you attractive, and also to hone into where your strengths are, and finding opportunities to where you can do your best work and perform at your best.
I love that because, I was talking to someone the other day and they were sharing that they're in the field they're in. Actually, you know what? It was Madison last week when she was speaking on here, and she was sharing how somebody looked at her resume and looked at the work she was doing and saw something in her that she didn't see in herself. So having that outside source, being able to say, well, I see some strengths here, and I think you would be amazing in this area. And they may not have even considered it. I think is like extremely an amazing opportunity that not all of us get. And so I love that. And I love also that your company takes the time to conduct an assessment. It's not just like, oh, I want to be in this role, in this field. And so, okay, great. We're only going to find you this. It's like, well, let's back up for a moment and let's learn a little more about you and make sure that it's a good fit, because yes, every company is not necessarily a good fit for every person and vice versa. So that's amazing, because that's very unique. That's not something every company does. Yeah, I love that about you. That's awesome. Yes. That is awesome. And I think about a lot of different aspects. And so one thing that I loved when I looked at your website, is that there's a statement that says, we are more than just a workplace. We're a family. And when I read that, I mean, we've all had our different experiences in the workforce, and to see something like that where somebody is saying, yeah, this is business, but it's also personal, was really powerful. And that's unique. Even with companies that are similar to yours, I've never seen that. And so with that, I mean, I'd love to hear a little more about what businesses and individuals can expect to receive from your organization that they wouldn't necessarily get from another one, because of your approach to how you do business.
That comes from my leadership style, which is relationship. I like to build relationships, and I find that when you build relationships, you can get more out of a person. You can get more more information, and you can pretty much cater and figure out where you fit in, so in that, I place that in the family category, because ultimately we want our family members to do well. So in that, it just takes that time, that communication, to be personable and also to be comfortable. You want someone to feel comfortable in assisting them, because these are times where they're unsure, they're nervous about their livelihood, they're nervous about maybe interviewing, they just have this stress on them. So you want to make them feel as comfortable as possible so that we can bring the best out of you. And who does that better than family?
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. And this is what our community was founded on. I often, when I'm talking with people, I go back to the Ville, and most Black people are from the Ville. I mean, that's just the reality here in St. Louis, that they grew up here. And I think about my grandparents. I think about our pastor from our church. I think about so many leaders in our community. And that was a community of Black people who were committed to supporting and uplifting and serving one another. And it was a family. It wasn't this, sense of we don't share this private information. We have to share it because this is the only way we're going to thrive. And
yes,
I love that. So when I read that, I was like, yes, this is everything. That is amazing. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate you. And I think about how scary these times are for people, and to have a space and a place that they can go and know that it's like, we care about you as a person. We want you to be a member of our family and feel comfortable. I just think that that offers a sense of peace that we don't often see in 2020. It offers that opportunity for more people to open up and maybe explore options they wouldn't, because they know it's a safe space to do that in, and that you have their best interest at heart. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Can I ask a question real
Please.
quick?
Sure, please.
So what about, I know you were talking about some of the career areas that with healthcare and technology. What if someone were to come with you with one of the areas that you don't necessarily have a lot of contacts or connections to? Is there some way, I don't know, for instance, like from my education, for example, it's like, do you, is that something, or do they have to work in the areas that you primarily work in?
Oh, no. No niche is left behind. That that's our model. And that also gives us an opportunity to build relationships in other areas. What I have found, it's not a competitive thing. So I like to network with even other agencies, because they may have candidates or clients that may need sourcing, and, and vice versa, in the areas that we just may not have those clients for right away. So we're still working, we're still finding and building relationships in order to increase those areas that are in need. So we no niches behind. Like, if someone comes to us, hey, this just gives us an opportunity, to grow and build that network.
I love that. I think that's a great question. Thank you so much for asking that. And
yes,
I do want to note that, even on your website, you have a lot of different areas, like different fields that have been listed, even though on the bio there weren't all of those listed. I did notice on your website you have other niches. And what I love that you spoke to is collaboration, because so often we operate in in isolation, and it's just like, that doesn't help anyone. Like, we all can grow together. And the fact that you're like, oh, we don't have it, guess what? I network with other agencies, and I'm going to make sure I connect you. That's what our community should be doing. And that's powerful.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. And I just have only a couple more questions for you. Well, no, I have a lot of questions. I have a couple more that I'll ask. But I wanted to know, so with COVID-19, I know you were like really focusing on wanting to serve and help. And I just wanted to know, how's that impacted your business, if at all? Have you had to pivot? Has there been an increased need for your services?
So in certain areas, yes, it has impacted. Again, it just goes back to candidates who are afraid, just afraid of entering environments where they're not sure, the health status. So you just have that slight fear there, understandably, that's
Absolutely.
understandable. And that's like in the healthcare industry, or even just businesses or, just standard uh, certain businesses that, are still open.
Mhm.
On a client standpoint, we've had some businesses that had to close down,
Mhm.
based off of the pandemic. They could not sustain. So it was the fast pace of wanting to, because we provide a guarantee. So if something happens, to where they had to furlough or let go of a candidate, we want to place them somewhere else that we see fit,
Mm.
or and vice versa. If a candidate doesn't work out with the company, we are going to replace them with someone that that we see fit with the organization. So in certain areas, it has impacted, but for the most part, you still have those niches that do very well, like IT. So it's really kind of troubleshooting, and you have to adjust, and move forward, figure out what areas that, we need to adjust and pick it back up.
I love that. I mean, that's what we have to do. I mean, honestly, we've got to be resilient and be
Mm-hmm,
able to just kind of get back up and keep it moving and figure out a new way to do things.
mm-hmm,
I love that you said we have a guarantee.
mm-hmm.
So that means like we're not just here for the moment. Okay, we're
No.
done with you. It's life happens. A pandemic that we never expected
Yeah.
happens.
Yes.
And we're going to do our best to support you. And so I love that. And I think I wanted to ask earlier, and I didn't ask this, but if I am a business owner or I'm a corporation or whatever, what does that look like to go through that process of connecting with Anthony staffing partners?
Mm-hmm. So it is, once you, if or for a person of interest, you reach out to us. It's an assessment. It's a process. What we do is we go through your need as a business, what you're looking for, what can we do to help? I like to ask questions as far as what the need is, and before we get to the process. That way we're not wasting any time. And that way we can supply you with that perfect job fit candidate. So it is a process. It's not, a heavy process, but again, we just want to talk. We want to talk, and we want to gather enough information for us to be successful for you.
I love that. I love that. And I'm thinking about like all the other questions I had. I feel like you've answered everything. I don't know if there's anything else you've done a phenomenal job, and I'm super excited that we got to hear from you, and I
Mhm.
love the work you're doing. And I
Thank
just want
you.
to know no, thank you. Seriously. I mean, this is such a gift and a blessing to our community because people are scared. It's a
Yes.
scary time. And to know that there's somewhere they can go where they can have peace and
Yes.
operate with integrity and respect and all of that, and know that you're really there to support them, whether it's your company or another. You're going to make sure they get what they need. That means
Right.
everything. Um,
I just would like to touch on one thing, because right now we have a lot of the unemployment.
mhm.
So touching on that is just, and this is again to support just those transferable skills, and almost you don't want to become dependent on unemployment, and so we find that to be a high percentage of that right now. And although it is a need, because hey, we're in a pandemic and life happens and changes, but utilize the income, to, you want to be smart, with it. You just don't want to become dependent on it. You want to minimize debt, if you can, take care of your expenses. You want to apply those funds maybe towards, continuing your education, maybe finding a trade, something that can help you sustain in hardship, or, and even the pandemic,
Yes, yes.
So it's just those things to consider. Start a small business, things to just help you get through these times. And, you know, I wanted to touch on that because it's heavy. You have a lot of people who become dependent on it, and that wastes a lot of time for you to stay attractive. Some people don't want to go back to work because of that. And although, again, it is a need, so if you need it, hey, utilize it. Just don't become dependent on it, because it will run out.
Yes.
And they can stop it at any time. So
no, for real. And I think that's
Yeah.
so powerful. I'm so glad you said that, because I think that's the thing, especially with there being additional funding available that's not normally available. I really appreciate you saying that, because it sets members in our community up for success. It's like, great, yes, you're in a situation where you need this, and that's what it was designed for.
Yes.
And there is no shame in that. Like, we are so thankful and grateful. But
Yes.
this is time to also build and pour into yourself and offer yourself other opportunities to be able to pursue different fields of interest, whether it's a trade or just another area. And I love that. And it's like, look at your resume. What else can you shift around? What are some different skills you can build on? And so I definitely feel like that is so powerful. Don't just sit there and wait for things to get better, but continue to pour into yourself during this pandemic as well. So. Thank you so much. And I think like the small business piece kind of helps us shift even to Ms. And I hope you'll stick with us, because I see so much alignment between what you both are doing. So
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So Ms. Alyce Herndon, I am so excited to have you with us as well. And I thank you for your time. I just want to, before we jump in, read a little bit about you. You've done so much work in our community and for so many small business owners, nonprofits, and individuals. I mean, there just really wouldn't be enough time to even tell it all. You've won so many awards and just remain humble in serving our community. So I just want to thank you and share a little about you, and then go into questions and anything you want to share. So I just want to share that Alyce Herndon is a first-generation female entrepreneur who understands the excitement of starting a new business and ensuring its sustainability. Alyce is passionate about providing resources to women business owners, regardless of the stage of their business, and has made it her mission to help position women business owners for growth. Alyce has been awarded the top 100 persons known to succeed in business and awarded the Melton Lewis Award for Equal Justice by Legal Services of Eastern Missouri in 2018. Most recently, she was included in the Hall of Fame of Small Businesses for 2019. Alyce is the owner of Onyx Business Consulting, LLC, in St. Louis, Missouri, where she assists in guiding women who are wanting to launch, grow, or pivot across industries. And so with that, I would like to say welcome to you.
Thank you. You made me sound good.
You are good. You're amazing. No, I'm glad you're here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I also want to thank the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the St. Louis Metropolitan Alumnae Chapter. That's right.
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
For inviting me in to share with you all today. So thank you so much.
It is a pleasure, and we're honored to have you and all of your gifts at the table. I, definitely have had the opportunity to know you as well as Latoya for several years, and so it's a pleasure. I also got to visit your website. So I know I visited hers, but I visited yours as well, and I read the following about your company. And it's really intriguing because of the pandemic and everything going on. You started this business in 2016. However, what you have on your website speaks so perfectly to this 2020 pandemic. You have your vision, your company's vision is to empower our clients with solutions that will increase sustainable businesses in the St. Louis region. Your mission is to provide services that support and accelerate business development and growth, targeting women business owners to impact the St. Louis region and economy. And then you talked about the Onyx Stone. Your business is Onyx Business Solutions. And so the Onyx Stone is one that is strength-giving and provides in difficult times, which we know we are in. And in order to overcome fears, remove toxicity, and release negativity, The onyx stone releases a protection of energy to assist in thriving and surviving environments. And so I just wanted to read that because it was so powerful and so touching during these times. And it was written 4 years ago. And so I don't know if you have anything you want to speak to through that, like knowing that you've worked with people throughout this pandemic as well.
You know, Monique, it's a privilege to work with small business owners. Let me say that. And when I have two arms to me, I have a nonprofit arm where I have the opportunity to do services and things like this. But then I also have the LLC arm. So it's Onyx Business Solutions, which is the nonprofit, and then Onyx Business Consulting, which allows me to open my mouth and speak.
Yes.
I say that, you know, humorously because when I started the nonprofit back in 2016, what occurred was we were in a conversation and we thought that at the time we were going to lose the grant that was funding the program. And I said, you know, I really enjoy what I do, working with women, business owners, working with small business owners as well, because I work with men as well. If the funding goes away, there has to be some type of resource that'll be available to continue in that space. So forward thinking, I'm going to go ahead and incorporate a nonprofit. I understand how it works. I understand all of the needs for that as well. But then later on in 2018, I started getting invited across the nation to come and speak or to come and do training, and people wanted to pay me, but I wasn't set up for payment. So then I would say, just donate to my favorite nonprofit. Of course, that would be Onyx Business Solutions. But I said, well, I need to set something up for myself. So I incorporated the LLC in 2018. So I have the two arms that allows me to reach people no matter where they are. So with the solution side, I really focus on business development and training to make sure that I am helping those small business owners that are in the pre-venture stage understand what they're getting into. And who launches a business full-fledged, both arms, during the pandemic? And so in doing that, you know, a lot of people, I knew that eventually I would, but I had positioned stuff for 4 to 2 years behind the scenes. So it was really about preparation. And this thing about starting a business, you don't wake up one morning and say, I'm going to start a business. It really is about preparing yourself strategically and positioning you. So that's a tagline that I use, which is positioning small business owners for growth. And that's what I do. I enjoy doing it. It gives me life. It really does. I enjoy listening to the vision or the mission that people have. And when it comes from their heart, then you're in the right place. But if you're trying to do something to get rich, and now money is good, don't get me wrong.
We all need it, yes.
Yeah, you know, that part is good. But if you don't love what you do, then you're in the wrong field. You're doing the wrong thing, and you really have to find that thing that is passion for you, and that comes from your heart. You don't want to be stressed in doing the things that you do. You really want to enjoy it. And so that's why I chose the solution side and the consulting side that would keep me connected to those people that I've had a privilege of serving. And I say privilege because people don't have to come to you. They choose to come to you. And, you know, when I think about it, it's so much enjoyment, even like the awards you were sharing. I did not, you know, I want to be nominated for this award, or can you write a thing? it was somebody else who just saw the work that I was doing. And honestly, I just want to work. I just want to do what I enjoy doing. I want to make sure that somebody understands what they're getting into, position them for growth with all of their documentation. If that's helping you to understand how to start a business, let's walk through the steps so you can understand that. If you're already in business, and a lot of businesses this year particularly were at a point where they had to make changes and make changes rapidly.
Yes.
They could not delay. And so looking at the financials, making sure that you're doing your reporting, you know, because a lot of people missed out on the PPP money,
Yes.
right? And the reason that they missed out on PPP money was failure to plan.
Yes.
You don't plan for trouble, or you don't plan for a pandemic, but when it hits you, still, are you prepared? And when I talk about the preparation there, it's really about positioning yourself. Are you record keeping? Are you keeping your records? Are you looking at what you're doing on a quarterly basis, a monthly basis, annual, semi-annual, you know, Q1, 2, 3, and 4 are not put out here for naught.
Yes.
It's really for you to pay attention to what your business is doing, that you can really say, I need to make some changes here, or I need to make some changes there.
No, and I love that. And I thank you for that, because, you know, I love that you do have a servant's heart. And I've seen that, you know, since I met you, and just seeing how you've worked with businesses at all stages. Like you said, they could have been established, but there's just a need to pivot. And not everyone knows how to do that. And there's a need for support and how to remain sustainable, but also working with those newer business owners. And what I want to say is that you're not just someone who's like, oh, I'm just out here, I want to just help people. And there's a lot of that out there. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes in our community, people get caught up in just going with the person that they kind of sound like they might know something, instead of going with someone who's really trained.
Had that too.
Yeah.
To go and help fix something.
Exactly. So that's where you come in, and you're the, you know, I'm thinking about it's handled. You know, Olivia Pope.
Handle. It's handled.
And so, you know, we want to prepare and make sure that we're not in that situation. But like, you are literally trained and experienced in this, and I want to speak to several focus areas that you have. One being a small business administration supported program, workshops and business opportunity, also known as WeBo, as well as the Idea Spot and the Leadership Roundtable. So you're coming to us with real expertise and knowledge, not just, I think I can help you. Tell us a little more about those.
So, and thank you for that, because I really want to be the organization where people come to and they say, not only did they help me start my business, they helped me grow my business. And when I was faced with having to make changes, they were also able to support me in that wise. And so, you know, I do workshops on the pre-venture business checklist, start business before you start business. But my prize is workshop and business opportunities. You know, we were able to receive an affiliate license in August, but I was working with the program for over 6 years, right? And so now with this program, we have a cohort that's running now, and thank you for helping me in the recruiting process. But we have a cohort running now, and in this program, workshop and business opportunities, it's a 10-week program. So you have 2 phases. You can do 16 weeks or you can do 10 weeks. And we started looking at the model and started wanting to implement the 10-week process, because it's giving 6 weeks back to your life. That's one. But we find that doing a virtual interaction also allows you to move at a pace that you probably would not want to. We're in a pandemic. People have time on their hands. It's like a perfect storm, if you would, because who would have thought that such a time as this, with having a health pandemic, that's what it initially began as, a health pandemic, turned into a business pandemic, facing those small business owners where they're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I've got to keep my business open. What can I do to secure money? And having this program, Workshop and Business Opportunities, really allows each business owner to look at what they do, not how they do it, but what they do. So you're looking at your pricing, you're looking at your return on the investment, you're looking at, you know, your break-even analysis, you're looking at your market research, you know, your all of that comes together. And it's important because I think sometimes small business owners get caught up in making the widget that they forget how to operate the business. Yeah. And that's where we fail to get the PPP money.
Yeah, and you're correct. You're absolutely correct. I mean, and that's why it was so important to make sure that you were someone who was a part of this series, because those nuts and bolts are essential. And for years, you know, decades even, that's why our businesses tend to struggle, because we don't have the same access to resources and information and support. You know, so it's not that we don't want to be successful, we just don't always know how.
And that's one of the reasons why WeBo, or Workshop and Business Opportunities, affectionately known as WeBo, that's why it came into place. So it's over 50 years old. It's a program that's 54 years old, and it works.
It works. I've been through it. So I mean, I recommend it to everyone. And I was like, I get nothing from promoting this, but it literally
I'll send a check, right?
It was so beneficial that I share it with so many business owners, because to me it was intense. It was like getting a second master's degree, but it was in 10 weeks, but it was so helpful because going through the numbers, and you know, people are astounded at what they actually need to bring in to break even and to be able to make a profit. And so, because we don't consider all of the different components, the marketing piece, the legal aspect. I mean, it just literally goes into every single.
Yeah, and record keeping, that's key. You know, you've got to be able to monitor your records and look at what you're doing, because even when you go to a bank to create that banking relationship, the first thing they ask you for in most cases, do you have a business plan? Yeah. And some people look at the business plan as something that they keep on a shelf. They're going to pull it off, dust it off, and then present it. No, you look at the business plan monthly and or on a quarterly basis. It's an accountability partner, and it's a roadmap to make sure that you're doing what you said that you were going to do. But then you also look at the numbers, because the banker doesn't care about all the fluffy stuff. They're going straight to the numbers, and they want to see where your money coming from. You know, where's your income coming from? And that's where you want to be able to articulate the ebbs and flows of the business, your income, your expenditures, and then that return on the investment. What's the balance there? How did you break even? Did you make a profit? You know?
Absolutely. No, that's important. I think that's often what's really scary for us, because it's a lot to process.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as I'm thinking about this, you know, I do wonder, like, obviously we see a huge benefit of individuals who are business owners coming in, you know, working with you, business owners, nonprofit owners, coming and working with your company. What is it that they need to be prepared for? Because oftentimes, even though we know a resource is out there, we tend to kind of just like sit on it, and we don't take advantage of it because we're scared. What would you say to people who are looking to work with your company and maybe start their business or help grow and sustain their business? Like, what do they need?
If you are commitment, if you're looking to start a business, be committed to the process. It just not going to happen overnight. But if you are committed and you're willing to put the time in, I will definitely position you for growth. That's what I do.
I love it. How many businesses have you helped? This is a guesstimation just like around, I already know it's a lot.
I would say over the past 6 years,
I know.
it's like I would say easily on an average about 500 a year. There we go.
Yep, there you go. Yep. And I knew it's,
And
I asked you that intentionally because I know that, you have definitely positioned so many businesses for success. So when you're like, if you're ready to commit, I'm committed to you growing. I wanted to bring that out because it's not you work with 5 different businesses and, we're hopeful. You've literally made an impact on thousands of lives, and that's powerful. So mine included.
Love doing it. Thank you for allowing me to do it.
I appreciate you. And I do want to ask you, I think a lot of the questions I had, you really answered. But I really want to know, how do you, and I guess you did answer this a little bit, but with COVID-19, we know that there are people that weren't really ready. And so having to support them, those business owners, but I also want to know, as far as COVID-19, how's that been an impact, just like I asked previously, how's that been an impact on your business? How you had to pivot? Because that's your thing, launch, grow, pivot.
Yes. And I too have had to pivot. I initially thought that the consulting side would be the area, the largest area. While I have work that I do, it's the nonprofit side that I'm beginning to really push more, because I'm writing grants, pulling the numbers to make sure that we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, because we need the funding to support it. At the end of the day, I'm still gonna do it, right? Yeah. Because I know that, and I have enough resource partners too. And to Latoya's part, this relationship, when she said that spoke to my spirit. I was about to roll over in the chair,
You are so well aligned. I just see
I mean, when she said that, I'm like, oh, just sit still, Alyce. Yeah. But
you're the relationship queen. I know you're
relationships. You gotta have relationships. People do work with people they know and respect.
Yeah. And they trust.
Yeah. If you don't trust a person, they're not going to do work with you. Mm-hmm. If you don't have that relationship or that easy handoff, that referral piece, mm-hmm. I can honestly say that in my previous role, it was about the numbers. How many people can we get in? Mm-hmm. And that's not me. I mm-hmm. want to touch them. Yeah, it's like, I want to touch them. I want to be a part of that process. I want to hear. I want to guide. Mm-hmm. And I can't do that sitting in an ungodly amount of meetings. So this was like the perfect storm for me that eased me right on into this role. And I just woke up one morning, because again, I didn't wake up to say I'm going to start a business. I did it 4 years ago. Yeah. And I decided it's time. Mm-hmm. It's time for me to jump off into the sea that I tell everybody else they can swim in.
Yes.
Right.
You get to jump off into that scary sea yourself and
look, life jacket, swimming, come up for air, right?
Yeah. That's the reality of being a business owner, and it's a roller coaster ride. And I think all of us would say that it just is, and that's where that network and support system comes into play. Mm-hmm. I would like to. Is there any? I have a couple more questions. I know we're at time, okay. But I wanted to know if there's any advice and guidance that you have for businesses seeking to thrive during this pandemic, and I don't know if this goes along with that exactly, but also why is now a good time to start a business, or is it?
It is. Now is a perfect time to start business. So many people have been laid off from their positions, And when they went home, they had a PPP, a private pity party.
All right, I see you.
And basically, it's perfect timing because all of those things that you've wanted to do, all of those things that you said you didn't have time to do, you got time.
Yeah.
And so it was really pivotal for me because being home, I was here and I was working, but then it was an easy transition because I didn't have to drive anywhere. Once I finished my day, I could roll right into the work, my 5 to 9. So you work your 9 to 5, and then you also work your 5 to 9.
Yep.
And when I started seeing that I was accomplishing things, I'm like, this is time. So for those that are interested in starting a business, stop being afraid. And I think Latoya said that as well. So I'm going to echo her sentiments. You can't be afraid to do something that you love. Because we get up every morning, you know, for those that are in the workforce, and go to a 9 to 5, and we push out somebody else's agenda, their vision, their mission, whether we like it or not. And all in hopes of getting a check. Well, I would say to you, take that same passion and that heart and put it into yourself. Bet on yourself.
Yes.
Bet on me too, because I'm gonna get you there.
I feel like I'm in church. I'm like, I got
church. Say amen.
Amen. Yes. Yes. This is a Christian organization, so yes. No. I do appreciate that, and appreciate just the perspective that both of you have brought, and how you said bet on yourself. And I think that's what we forget to do. We go and we make money for others, and we're not doing what we really enjoy. And it's like, give yourself a chance to be successful doing what you
at
love.
least try it, right?
Yes.
Because what happens is, if we don't try it, I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda, all of those things, versus jump out there and do it. And if it don't work, let's figure out why it's not working. So we can position you so it can work. And it's really about taking that heart and that passion and the commitment and moving forward. You got to try it.
I love it. And when we have women like you, yourselves, both of you, as well as we have people the people who have presented throughout this series, who are constantly saying, I mean, every single person, they're about our community, they're about supporting, going above and beyond. Like, there is no way we can't succeed when we have strong leaders and support like that. Our community is not as isolated as people make it. We do have those good-hearted people who are like, I want to see you thrive and succeed. And we've been blessed to every single week hear from people like yourselves that are committed. And so I thank you, because I think it gives hope and inspiration to people that you've already done it, so maybe they can do it. But then also, like, I don't have to go at this alone. And like, there are people who care about me. They don't care about the numbers. I mean, like, numbers are great, money's great, but it's like, are you okay as my family, as my community member? I love it. I love it. I don't know if there's anything else you have for me that we haven't talked about that you would like to share.
I just want to thank you for the opportunity to serve. Like, really. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to express, to know that there are people out here that will help position you for their growth. And what a great platform. So Monique, keep doing what you're doing. So let me encourage you, right? You know, thank you for creating this platform to get a message out to those who are still trying to figure it out, right? And if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for IT work, Latoya say, I got you, right?
Yes.
And if you're looking to start a business, I got you. For profit or not-for-profit, I will work with you.
You got me almost, I'm fighting back my tears. I'm emotional, but I am so honored to serve in this capacity. I thank you so much, Alyce, for Onyx Business Solutions. I thank you, Latoya, for Anthony Staffing Partners. Thank you all for joining us. Like, I don't take that for granted at all. Your time is precious. The gifts and talents that you have are just phenomenal. And I just thank you on behalf of St. Louis Metropolitan Alumnae Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, as well as our Economic Development Committee. And just thank you on behalf of our community. Honestly, you are blessings and gifts, and I'm honored to serve alongside you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, you guys, I look forward to you having a wonderful evening. We've got one more part of the series. I feel like I can't even believe this is about to end, but I just, I've loved working with you, and I look forward to continued collaboration. This isn't the end. So this is just the start. So thank you both. I hope you have a wonderful evening. And thank you to everybody on Facebook Live as well.
Same to you.
Thank you.